1982 when he announced his resignation as President of the Republic of Cameroon. He was succeeded constitutionally on the 6th of November by President Paul Biya, who has been at the helm of Cameroon since 1982 till date. This evening, Prime Eye is going to focus on 42 years of President Paul Biya as President of the Republic. We're going to be looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly of his reign. Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to Prime Eye. My name is Kum Leonard. We are going to be looking at this very important topic with our panelists who are with me in the studio. Dr. Ngwanyam is with me in the studio. He's an educationist, a politician, and a social entrepreneur. Good evening, Doctor. We're glad to have you.
Oh, thank you, Leo, and good evening to our listeners. It's been such a long time that we've not been here and we've not chatted together. And so it's really a pleasure for me to be here today to discuss this important topic. And even before we get lost, I just want to say hello to all those Americans out there and to greet President Trump and all those nice people who did a good job today. We thank God for them, and we hope they will make America great again.
We also are in the company of Fah Elvis Tayong, who is the Undersecretary for Communication for the Cameroon Renaissance Movement. Good evening. Glad to have you also.
Thanks, Kum, and special greetings to Dr. Ngwanyam, who is present here, and to all those who are watching us, Professor Maurice Kamto, the National President of the Cameroonian Movement, and to all the other members of the party who are still languishing at the various dungeons across the national territory for revindicating against corruption and also advocating for the war in the restive areas to be brought to an end, and yet they are still being kept there for no just cause. Greetings to the people of Gunoko village as usual, the Mikuda people, and as well as the Gudeka people who are watching us right away. And all said and done, it's my pleasure being here today.
You guys are going to permit me read the speech by His Excellency President Paul Biya, President of the Republic of Cameroon, on November the 6th, 1982, after his brilliant oath taking. It reads, Mr. President of the National Assembly, Mr. President of the Supreme Court, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the Supreme Court. Following the historic message from His Excellency Amadou Ahidjo, President of the Republic of Cameroon, of the United Republic of Cameroon, and National President of Cameroon National Union, addressed the day before yesterday to the nation, and while the Cameroonian people, surprised, attentive, and meditative, are seeking still to understand the events, I have just, in the name of the requirements of the law and the good order of things, and the continuity of the state, taken an oath before you, and beyond that, before the entire nation. You know it well. In fact, this oath is in line with the one that on May the 5th, 1980, President Amadou Ahidjo, after so many other oaths, took before you. In this solemn and moving circumstance, an unprecedented circumstance in the history of our young nation, the time is for homage before commitment and expression of loyalty. Indeed, to my illustrious predecessor, or even better, to the one whose collaborator I had the notable honor of being for years, I owe a great and vibrant tribute, marked with difference and admiration. Of being, yes, I don't know. This is the translation is not too good here. It is Google translation. Okay. I owe a great and vibrant tribute, marked with difference and admiration. Worthy and prestigious son of this country, father of the Cameroonian nation, architect of its unity and its development, President Amadou Ahidjo will have revealed himself to us as a giant of Cameroonian history, of African history, and history in short. As such, his brilliant career as a statesman remains for all Cameroonians a source of pride and an example of commitment and patriotism. Before you and before the nation, as he leaves his high office with dignity and honor, I would like to address him in my personal name and on behalf of the entire nation the warmest congratulations and assure him of our loyalty and our sympathy. But there is surely no better way to show him our sympathy and our loyalty than to follow his example, to follow his footsteps. Also, within the framework of this oath, I intend to situate the action of the years to come under the double sign of commitment and loyalty. The commitment of a constitutional nature is the reaffirmation and the oath that I have just taken. I then intend, with the help of all Cameroonians and in my capacity as President of the Republic, head of state and head of government, to fulfill this sacred duty imposed on me, the Constitution, namely ensuring its respect as well as the independence, sovereignty, security, and unity of the state, ensuring the conduct of the affairs of the Republic. My illustrious predecessor never failed in this duty. I will not fail in it. As for political loyalty, it is that to a man, His Excellency Amadou Ahidjo, that to a people, okay, it is that to a man, and then that to a people, the Cameroonian people, that to options. You guys should spare me. As I said, it is Google translation. Regarding in particular the options which have been those of the UNC, I'm sure CNU, since its birth, and whose application and results make Cameroon an island of peace, unity, stability, justice, and progress in a war caught with the pangs of instability, violence, and scarcity. These options, I say I recall them because the circumstances require it and to vouch for them. These options are and remain within independence and national unity, peace, economic, social, and cultural development through our choices of planned liberalism, self-centered development, social justice, and control. They are, in Africa, non-interference in the internal affairs of states, respect for their sovereignty and territorial integrity, African unity and solidarity, the resolute and irreversible fight against the last bastions of colonialism and the misdeeds of apartheid in Southern Africa, the development of the continent. They are, on the international level, peace between nations, non-alignment, I mean authentic non-alignment and cooperation. I mean renewed cooperation in the perspective of a new world economic order, more fair and more stable. As part of its foreign policy options, respect for our commitment and our attachment to international organizations. I am thinking in particular of UDIAC at the time, CEMAC, okay, and OAU, which is now AU, the movement of non-aligned countries, and the UN. This respect and this attachment remains constant. Okay, dear ladies and gentlemen, members of the Supreme Court, are the guidelines which must continue to guide the actions and government of the Republic throughout the current mandate. The great long work of national construction, so well designed and so well carried out by His Excellency Amadou Ahidjo, is a work of all and for all. It must remain as such. It implies, in the hard times we are experiencing, rigor in management, perseverance in effort, and vigilance with regards to internal and external maneuvers and actions of democratization, demobilization, and stabilization. I therefore solemnly invite all Cameroonians to reaffirm in practice their attachment to this great work of unity, peace, and progress, and to remain resolutely there with the legitimate ambition of remaining a great people, a united and hardworking people, a people aspiring to prosperity and remaining a great people, united and hardworking people, a people aspiring to prosperity and justice, a people having faith in their future, a people finally jealous of being master of their destiny inside and outside their borders. As far as I am concerned, With the trust and collaboration of everyone, I can assure you that I will work towards it with all the strength of my patriotism and my commitment. This is the oath-taking speech by His Excellency President Paul Biya on the 6th of November 1982. To note that the former president Ahmadu Ahidjo resigned on the 4th of November. So 2 days later, President Paul Biya took over, and since then has been at the helm of the nation. We have just been joined by Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel, who is the national president of the Reform Party. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Kum. Thank you for having me this evening. Good evening to my good friend Ngwanyam. Good evening to Dr. Nick. Good evening to all Reform Party members and sympathizers and to all Cameroonians. It's a pleasure being with you, sir.
Okay, yes, you've listened to the speech, and when you look at the reign of President Paul Biya, 42 years down, can you reconcile the speech with what we observe today?
Let's say that he made this speech on that day, and you know, when he came to power, everybody was very happy. And I remember I was still at 6th year in the medical school, and I was in BBH at the time. So yeah, there was a lot of tension when he resigned, and you know, after this speech, a lot of people were looking forward to a lot of things. But I must say that, you know, he had a clear vision as to what should happen and where we should go. But you remember the unfortunate situation where there was this power struggle between you know, I think I don't know who was at the root of it.
Okay, you're suspecting that the former president wanted to come back to power,
that thing, that, you know, I think President Paul Biya wanted to open up and do whatever he said he was going to do, but this was a major thing, a major security threat that pushed him back into his cocoon, like a you know, for self-preservation. Yeah, and so from then on, things never went as he probably planned, and he had to make sure that he strengthens his backyard first before carrying on with whatever. And you know, for some odd reason, a lot of things also went under the bridge because of that.
Okay, your net assessment of President Biya's 42 years reign as president of Cameroon.
Well, Mr. Kum, you see, my first shock is that after yesterday's deadly accident on the Falaise in Chang Hill, where we lost something close to 100 people, although they are not, yes, 3 coastal buses were buried in the mud. 3. They were not empty, sir. The buses loaded with people. That's true. So you see, this is something that ought to have attracted some national mourning.
Yeah, but
it has been passed, it has been silent. If you look at the communique of the governor of the Western region, he talks of 3 coastal buses. Were they empty buses? There were people inside.
Yeah, but I'm sure I was communicating with somebody who was there, and he talked about if the casualties could get up to 10. I was talking directly with people.
Have they removed all those buses?
I don't know.
Thank you.
Yep.
You see, that is something. These are transport buses that were coming from either Chang or Bafusa or Bamenda.
Yeah, but not only those buses were there.
There were other vehicles. There were five small cars. See, so I'm saying that instead of this government ordering national mourning, they are instead celebrating the president's anniversary in power. That shows you how the entire time he has been in office has been. I mean, they don't seem to have any real empathy for human life, because you cannot imagine that type of accident happened. And I think there's another one around Moliwe.
No, those were old videos.
Okay. So when you have those type of things, you expect them to at least halt and say, where in memory of the dead. But nothing. It just went as if we are supposed to be in a festive mood. I am not. So how do I see his 42 years of reign? Well, in the very brilliant speech that you read, he referred to his predecessor as his illustrious predecessor. Illustrious predecessor. I don't want to say what happened after between them after that. But This illustrious predecessor gave him a country that had a very good signature, because he was asked by a certain journalist, how is the signature of Cameroon? He said, the signature is very good. Now, 42 years on, I would like my CPDM colleague to tell the nation at what level the finances of the country are. We have visited IMF for the past 30 years and we have not left. We are there. So how are our finances? I mean, he took a country that was financially buoyant. I want to remind you that under Amado Ahijo, these Southeast Asians came here for training. People from Singapore, Malaysia, came in here to learn how to cultivate palms from CDC. Where is Malaysia today economically? So you can imagine that. Security-wise, he took a country that was at peace. Where is the country today? At war. So, in fact, he was given everything. He was giving Cameroon on a platter of diamond, and he is leaving it in shambles. So, that's my first appraisal of the 42 years.
Okay. Kangaroo man, Fah Elvis Tayong, your assessment of 42 years reign of President Paul Biya as President of the Republic.
Well, it's I don't even know how to start, because the kangaroo nature of where we are depicts it all, except somebody is living maybe in the space, then he will not be able to agree. I quite was feeling too ashamed when I saw some video footages of I don't know how to describe those kind of human beings, but celebrating their 45 bricks. They say, okay, the society is a free one. But I think we are at the level whereby 42 years we have buried our normal human consciences that are supposed to work for the well-being of mankind, and we are jumping over sardine and bread and some other funny things, so to say. It's quite very sad. Now, today gives me another bad, sad image in my mind. I remember last year, this same time, or similar time, we had the Egbeko massacre. In the Egbeko massacre, I complained here sometimes that even the elite in Manu did not even issue words of condolences that would say that they are feeling so bad for that kind of macabre incident that took place in a way that is still questionable to today. That gunshots are fired in the air on the eve of an event, and it takes over 30 minutes without an intervention, only for them to come later on when people have been slaughtered in cold blood, and the celebration went hitch-free. Not only Manu, wherever, nobody somewhere, even in the northwestern, where, please, before we celebrate, let's give a period of silence for communals who have fallen in Egbeko. Those in far north Marwa, those, none of them, it was just celebration. This is the kind of 42 year we're talking about, where mankind is no longer at the center, but personal ego is at the center. And I said, when I looked at the landslide at the Chang Hill, I knew within me that there will be a statement from the head of state sending words of condolences on this day. I mean, official. Now, I remember when Notre Dame, the cathedral in fact, was on fire, condolences was sent from Cameroon here, presidency, to Emmanuel Macron. We are looking at how we are behaving as if something is wrong with us spiritually. When we get fire incident in other countries, we are quick to send to our fellow compatriot, we are sorry for the incident that took place in your country, blah, blah, blah. In our own country, we don't get any least word of condolences. Not even a least word of condolence. Asking myself, but are we really on a good footing? Is it that the 42 years has removed our normal medulla oblongata, dispatching the normal reasoning faculty of mankind, and inserting and replacing it with the satanic one? That's what I seem to see. How on earth do I sit? Anybody who even saw the video footages as that mountain was coming down, people were crying, calling Jesus, and whatever. I was not there, but I could imagine how I saw even the caterpillar being swept away, and people were saying, "No, chauffeur down, no chauffeur down." He said,
But Kangaroo man, celebrations were taking place across Cameroon today to mark the 42nd anniversary of the accession to power of President Paul Biya. The Minister of Public Works, Ngwanyam, was at the site and said that he has brought a message from the President of the Republic, message of condolence and sympathy to the people. He was there today, except
Yes.
you do not see.
Mr. Leo, let me get this clear to Yaoundé regime. There are some things that requires the movement of the head of state. Let's not be babbling here. The magnitude of what transpires does not require a messenger to carry the word from the head of state, for God's sake. It requires the head of state, even an emergency address, if he cannot go over there. Let's have an emergency address of about 5 minutes. State address to the Cameroonian people concerning what has transpired, because those people who are killed there are Cameroonians. I don't know how we function, how whatsoever. And that's why I think that the press should not look at the Minister of Public Works present there as a big show that represents what President Pobia has said. In the first place, if you analyze that here.
Are you talking as a politician or?
No, excuse me. I'm talking as an analyst. No, journalist first. That's why I'm saying that in that hill, Mr. Leo, what about 42 years down the drain?
When the minister comes, the press should the press should rather order him to go and tell the president to address.
No, we're analyzing here. I'm not saying what the press should say.
The press is there.
This analysis I'm saying here.
The press is there.
And the 42 years down the drain, on that hill tells you that something is wrong. First, those who carry out the architectural work, soil testing will tell you that if that place is soft, they were supposed not to have constructed road there. This is simple. Those who do geographic, who do what they call soil texture in building construction, understand what I'm talking about. If you build a road, you test the solidity of the soil. And we have recorded a series of accidents there. That last line is not the first. It means that they were supposed to have tested and seen that that soil cannot contain for a period of time. Therefore, roads should not be constructed there. If those who construct that road, including the Minister of Public Works, who visit it, is coming there word of condolence from the head of state, I don't call that word of condolence, because first there's an error in that road. How many landslides will occur again for us to continue dying on that stretch of road? Who carried out that contract? Who did the feasibility study? Those persons, if it was in China, as I'm talking about, they have all been in prison, including Public Works and all the engineers. I mean, as I speak, they should have been in jail now. South Korea, they should be in jail. If they were in North Korea, now as I speak, they should have been in jail for that kind of work that causes an error that is avoidable. Because the soil texture does not get terrace, but now, once a soil is soft, it is soft. If you carry out your geostrategic studies and your geology studies, it will tell you whether this soil can sustain over time for us to carry out construction there. So just by passing there for 2 years already, is already another indication that total failure at the level of road constructions that we're talking about 42 years. I'll come back again. The failure is everywhere. If I start here, I will sleep here. Dr. Nick knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I've just gone on Google to look at landslides damaging roads in China. I have so many of them. These are natural disasters that occur everywhere.
Yeah, they're natural disasters. And when my friend was talking, sometimes, you know, when you're talking, I know, don't just don't be emotional and don't try to do that, because let's just step back and look at what is happening. The road never collapsed. It is a hill that has been standing there from God's creation that collapsed. True or false? So you wanted them to go and test the hill and tell you that will collapse in 100 years?
Doctor, engineers who are listening to you are surprised what you're saying.
No. Wait.
These things happen even in France, everywhere. These
It's
are
everywhere.
Yep.
It's everywhere. It's a natural, you know. When did God create it? When did God create it? So the hill has been sitting there.
Would you blame those who constructed on a city and then there's an earthquake?
No,
and houses are destroyed.
Mr. Leo, geologians are watching us here.
And then
earthquake issue is different from what we're talking about.
Kangaroo man, just
in an area which is liable.
Yeah, okay, fine. Granted you are okay. Granted you're right. Okay. Now you have to build a road from Chang down to Sancho. Where do you pass with the road?
You can make a flyover.
Okay, anyway, let's change the subject. Let me listen to your...
No, I think I've looked at it. I'm sure even in America we have landslides here. They occur almost everywhere. We cannot prevent natural
for earthquakes. It's okay. There are avoidable ones, Mr. Leo.
There were two things there.
Okay.
First of all, there was a landslide.
Yeah.
The second one was not a landslide.
What was it?
What was it?
Good, thank you. If you saw that moment, you see the ground was moving like a river.
So what was it? What is
that was more
Give it a name.
The second one was what?
What?
You see that thing is I don't know how to put it because this is
because the only name is landslide. No, it's not moving sand.
It was like moving earth.
It was like moving earth. And
yes.
that's what a landslide is.
Landslide, part of it cuts and falls. But that one did not just cut and fall. It started flowing like a river.
It was flowing because there was a gradient.
But that's how all landslides
Why,
are.
Massa?
Because there was a gradient.
Ah, yeah, bye.
No, all landslides are like
If you
that.
do some physics and geography,
The land that was moving
it's a landslide.
was muddy.
Yes.
That is where I joined the kangaroo man.
It was.
You don't even need to be an engineer, any geographer
Yes.
who sees the texture of that land
Yes.
would know that this type of land is not good for road construction. Why did they build a road there? Because that land did not become.
Is it the hill that gave way, or is the road that was constructed? Both of them.
Both.
The road never gave way.
Who said so?
Oh, but
have you removed that ground and see the road still there?
Let's continue with other questions.
Wow.
So it's Paul Biya's problem that the road collapsed.
Oh, nobody has called Biya's name here.
All right, and because that's what we were going to say.
Yeah, but his ministers appointed engineers who went and fumbled there to endanger people's lives.
Wow. Okay.
Anumutong.
Please, we are looking at President Biya's reign at 42 years as president of the Republic. Let's look at his efforts to democratize this nation, and where would you rate him?
When it comes to democratization, we've got to understand what exactly he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are going to count the political parties, including these other two guys' parties, of course there are about 600. There are about 380 of you, right? And so yes, on paper it says there's democratization, but what we observe is that there's so many political parties don't understand what politics is all about, don't understand what economics is, don't understand what development is, and don't understand how wealth creation is. So you end up, for instance, just talking hate speech, not coming together to tell people what exactly we would do to come out of where we are. You cannot come together to form a coalition or whatever, so that we can advance that democracy. So for all this time, what we have been doing, like especially between the I'm sure you remember, you guys, the SDF and MRC, you're always throwing rotten eggs at each other instead of doing the work that you're supposed to do.
So does that constitute his achievement? They're asking you.
No, I'm saying that. The bottom line is he opens up, but Cameroonians don't know what exactly to do with it. That's the problem.
Which I don't agree, but it's your point of view.
Yeah, it's my point of view. It's my point of view. That is, instead of working to build a nation, you're only concentrating so much on politics, and especially politics of hate, and we are not going anywhere. Now, for instance, presidential elections are coming and other elections. What are you guys doing so that you can change the dynamics? Nothing.
Oh, we need to come and tell you what we're doing.
Nothing.
That's serious.
Nothing.
We'll not tell you. We'll take you unaware.
Anyway, wait and see what will happen.
We are waiting.
Yeah, but so for you are very, very comfortable with the move by President Paul Biya.
No, the point about it is you can take your son and put in the secondary school, but if your son is not studying, that's their problem.
Yeah, but how?
I'm not saying that the CPD is doing very well, but I'm saying that the whole country, when it comes to this democratic thing,
we are talking about President Paul Biya. He opened up the political space for the creation of so many political parties.
Yeah. What else could we do?
Yeah, but are you also very comfortable with the way things are going, that okay, people can just create political parties whether they exist or not, whether they perform or not, a plethora of them, almost everything is just
well, it's just that
should they not be controlled also? I
mean, we have the same thing. We have NGOs, we have schools, we have just about everything. Everybody do whatever they want. So it's for political parties, it's not any different. Everything is just kind of like laissez-faire.
Yeah, but if there is laissez-faire and things are not going the way you want, who do you blame here?
That is exactly.
Is it not also incumbent on the president and his collaborators to make sure that there is order in this domain? Yeah,
there's going to be some order come 2025.
You're talking about President Paul Biya.
Yeah, I mean 2025 there will be some order. Don't worry. I mean, even in churches, you see there's churches everywhere. So there's just so much disorder in the nation. But all of that disorder, there will be order in 2025.
We are talking about President Paul Biya's reign as president for.
You observe that there's been a lot of parties that have been created, and we are saying that yes, he has created party. Or rather, he has made it possible for those guys to create their parties. They don't know what to do with the parties. That's what they're saying. He's not the one to go show them what to do with their parties.
Yeah, but why do you legalize more than 400 political parties in the country? To achieve what?
No, that's the problem. The question you should be asking is why is it that so many people go to take an authorization to create a political party? For instance, these two gentlemen sitting between, why can't they just come together? Why is this party different from that one? And there are 400 different ideologies. It shows that it's an issue of greed, ego, and so on. Everybody would, even with his wife, they own a party. You see a man and his wife with his briefcase is a party. I mean, it's not serious. A country like Cameroon should not have more than 4 or 5 parties. What we are doing is a joke.
President Paul Biya is credited by Ashu, yes, that he is he constitutes a part of the group who call themselves the fathers of democracy in Cameroon. You buy that?
Yeah, before I buy or I don't.
You also own a political party.
Before I buy or not, I have to answer our CPDM person here who seems to forget. Whether it's progressive or whether you are regressive or progressive, you are CPDM. Now, when he says political parties don't know what they are doing, by dint of that, he means that his CPDM government doesn't know what it is doing, because for a political party to be authorized to operate, it has to present a plan of action and show proof of responsibility. Let me learn. So if you say the political parties don't know what they are doing, you are telling us that your Minister of Administration does not know what he is doing, because he is authorizing people who don't know what they are doing to operate political parties. On the one hand. On the second hand, you say things that are happening is because of the opposition people. Who is in power? It is you. You are the one who permit things to happen. If you were good, no bad thing will happen. Okay. It's because your governance is bad that bad things are happening. So don't put it on anybody's head. Carry your cap yourself, because 2025, we are making it a point of duty to give you a well-deserved rest.
Okay.
Go and rest so that we can take over. Oh. Now, let me come back now to Mr. Kum's question. Can we objectively say Mr. Paul Biya is father of the democracy? Yes, we can say that. Because in all fairness, this man took Cameroon where he was under one party. And we saw how the CPDM people combated Mr. Biya when he wanted to introduce multipartism. They marched in the streets against multipartism, and Mr. Biya said, there shall be multipartism. So I will give him that credit for having stood up against his own militants who did not want multipartism. He stood up against and said, there shall be. Now, did he make a mistake? Because you are telling Cameroonians that there ought to have been 5 parties. Whose fault is it? Who is legalizing the parties? Is it not your party? The people of your party. You are the ones legalizing the party, and then you say it's bad. Please harmonize your greed. Harmonize your position with your mentors.
It's your greed.
Because your mentors do something, and then you sit behind and take what they have done, what bad thing they have done, and you put on other people. They are the ones legalizing the party. It is not an opposition party that legalizes itself. I will give you some small mitigation, because you yourself have not been legalized. You haven't been legalized, so you don't know what it is to legalize the party. So no, I won't take any grief against you for that one. I know that.
So you are saying that CPO is not a legalized party?
He knows it now. Am I supposed
to see authorization?
If he is legalized, please show us. I ask people here every day, show Cameroonians your papers on legalization. You don't have one. You don't have one. So I will not be too hard on you for that one.
I'm not sure that is the topic for tonight.
No, I'm just telling him that I will not be hard on him, because I know that his party is not legalized, so I will not be hard on him.
He's always off topic.
I will not be hard on you for that.
How do you consider,
I said, Mr. Biya,
how do you say a party is not legalized when that party has taken part in so many presidential, municipal, parliamentary elections? No, that's not the topic for today.
That's digression.
You just asked me why do I say so? The law says it that all existing parties have to comply with that law. It is said in that law.
But have you gone to their secretariat and it was?
I have. To you? I have made extensive research. CPDM
you have made research.
I have been to Supreme Court to a Constitutional Council against them, asking that party be ruled off the electoral list.
But the party has been taking part in elections.
Because they are making up now. They're in power.
Okay. Can you land so that we move?
Thank you. I said I will give Mr. Biya the credit of introducing multi-party politics in Cameroon, because first of all, as I said, he stood up against his own militants who were vehemently opposed. They even marched in the streets. In what Cameroonians term Dimabula, marching Dimabula, Po Biya Maso, because they did not want multipartyism. But their president said they shall be. Number two, he has allowed the Israeli multipartyism style, because maybe you don't know that they copied it from somewhere. They took it from Israel. Whoever wants to create a party, create. Whoever wants to support his own party, please flock there. If you can have similar ideas, well, you want to make alliances, that is your business. But the state allows every person. That is a very good example of freedom of expression and political will. Yes. So I think Mr. Biya should be given that credit. He did it, and without him, we would have still been in the one-party state that President Ahijo left to him. So I will give him that credit. And I think he once said he would like to be remembered as the person who brought democracy to this country. And I think it can be given to him.
Yeah, it's a good thing that there are so many political parties, because during the elections you will all fail.
I will announce to you, I'm going to beat you in 2025. No, wait now, you will see. I will beat you people. I will take it over from you and show you that we can manage, this country can be better managed.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, when you read the speech that was made by President Paul Biya on the 6th of November 1982 in Yaoundé, when he took over power, 2 days after the resignation of former late President Amadou Ahijo, he sounded so promising and wanted to walk on the footsteps of his predecessor. Can we also say that he was betrayed by collaborators over the years?
I think when I listened to that speech, you see, that speech and now is like day and night. It's like you are traveling from here to the planet called Pluto. Because there is no match between that his speech and what transpires now. And so, in one of the areas there, he mentioned that even President Amadou Ahijo has done quite well, that he himself, President Paul Biya, will not want to fail him. But the failure has been tripled, quadrupled, and raised to the power 50. So the failure is in tens of times. But I think, generally looking at it, we would say that if President Paul Biya have failed as he has failed, woefully, though Dr. Nick claims that the many parties are coming because of this and that, when you put in a wrong policy, you cannot accuse opposition party because they don't hold the policy. They are not policy makers. They are not policy implementators. So the government is the policy maker and the ruling party and the policy implementer. So once it fails with the wrong formula, everything that comes after that becomes fail, and you say it's greed. When the CPDM is top on the agenda of greed, holding on to power, we are suffering till today. Dr. Nick knows what we're talking about. But he comes here and plays Pontius Pilate. That is done. Now, concerning the failure of President Paul Biya, he gave a very good speech for 2 years down the lane. He has not been able to live up to that. And the good question which Mr. Leo just asked is, can we blame his collaborators? No. We will not blame his collaborators. We will blame President Paul Biya for the failure. When America was going down the drain, Donald Trump as president took the blame. When director of intelligence, CIA, was not doing this, it was Donald Trump in charge, who had the latitude to appoint competent persons to deliver goods and to give, enable him achieve his plans. If you are a president, you have a plan of action. If you appoint people who are not delivering the goods to enable you to achieve a plan of action, you yourself fail on arrival. It means you must revisit the status quo under which you appointed those persons. Was it on travel lines? Was it on old time friend's sake? Or was it in the fact that they were really competent? Competence is absent in our system, and the monitoring mechanisms to evaluate the competence is totally absent. So I am one of the Cameroonians who is against any school of thought who says, no, President Paul Biya is not the problem. The problem is his commitment. Mbano. It is President Paul Biya who has failed there at the 2G. Because once we have the failure, once we have the system of accountability absent, what do you expect? A president that has control, even in a Njani group, should be able to ask the treasurer, how much is there? Treasurer says, I have 1 million. I said, but last meeting they said it was 5 million. Where has 4 million gone to? But if you sit you quietly, and that's why you see Dr. Nick is crying foul here, that there's confusion everywhere, changes are everywhere, political parties are everywhere. Who is the cause of this failure of multiplicity of political parties, multiplicity of churches, everything in a lackadaisical manner? It is the policy put in place by his president. He's here sitting and looking at me. He knows what I'm talking about. Dr. Nick knows what I'm talking about. If you go to St. Louis, why is that Dr. Nick is absent but the school is moving? I mean, absent is moving. It's because he has put in place a good administrative system. Why can he not advocate the system to put in place within a state called Cameroon? Why is that when President Paul Biya is not there, everybody is doing what he wants? Contracts themselves are a call for concern. Do you know, Mr. Leo, that the governor's office in the Northwest region, the divisional, Mezam, divisional office, which is in front of the governor's office there, has still been standing there. That contract been embezzled more than 15 years ago. They know what I'm talking about. That being standing in front of the governor's office, that is the Mezam divisional officer's office. They are patching up with the colonial building there, but senior divisional office, senior Mezam, is still standing there. That embezzlement has come up several times in several follow-up meetings in the Northwest there. And when it comes, they wave it aside. This is the kind of committee we're talking about. When people act the way they like with impunity, and the police sits here, he laments, but he does not take the blame back to Etuli to say truly people have failed us because look at what it is. I have the impression that Dr. Nick is playing a hanky-panky game. You put a good administration system in your school, which I admire so well. I mean, so well. But when it comes to the state functionary, you tell the problem he's doing well. When in your own school, you are doing well and his own is failing. And then you come to say that no, it is opposition party that have failed. When we are legalized by him, legalized by the fair policy put in place by your president, something is wrong, Dr. Nick. Why don't you tell people watching you here that truly we have failed? It's good to be honest. You are a good somebody, that's why you shift from the recipient to progressive. Yes. We are not accepting progressive here. There is no legal status quo in CPDM talk about progressive. That was its illegality.
No, it's not illegality.
And the barrister is here. No, the problem is I don't think the barrister will sit and accept illegality.
That we are not talking. We are not talking about that. We are looking at
the failed woefully.
We are looking at President Paul Biya's reign as head of state for 42 years. We are talking about democracy, and seemingly nobody has talked about the fact that he has been president for 42 years in a democracy. Apparently, it looks it's normal. Yeah, but I've asked a question. You guys are focused more. You people were just focused on. But democracy also has to do with the institutions. How very functional have we had our institutions? We have all the institutions that we know, and also their independence.
You know, everything grows, and like someone has been saying, if you want a great democratic nation, then you must have strong institutions and not strong individuals. And I think we are in the process of going from strong individuals to strong institutions. It's a process. It looks to me like America is also on the process of going for strong institutions. You know, like last time, the last presidential election, we could see that, there was an issue of strong men in America. But this time around, you can really see that the institutions are working. So it's part of human behavior and dynamics. And I'm sure that from 2025, we'll see very strong institutions in Cameroon.
You're not talking about the institutions. Are you very comfortable with the Senate, the National Assembly?
No, I mean.
We have the executive. We have
there's a problem here. There's a problem here. A lot. No, forget about it.
These are all institutions.
They are institutions, yes. But what I'm saying
is, you're not talking about them. You say, okay, they should stay. They are working so well, but they are going to.
No, they are not working very well. They are not working well, and many are not cost effective. like if you've listened to me before, I don't know whether it's the position of the head of state or anything, but as far thinking with my independent thought, I would say that the Senate is no use, is waste of resources. I would say ENAM is no use, though it's not part of the democratic thing, but you know they do the management of the nation. It's a waste of resources, and what is it again? NASLA is a waste of resources. Social and Economic Council is waste of resources. So we need to actually go out there and prune the whole system.
When you say NASLA is waste of resources, where do you want to train those to work in our councils?
No. Wait a minute. It's good. It's good in quotes. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. As of now, it's a junior ENAM. But when you change the process now, but all what they are doing in ENAM, NASLA, and so on is best done in the faculty of management. Are you getting what I'm saying? Put it there, and then things will be okay. But now, when you go look at the have you ever looked at the curriculum of NASLA? The curriculum of NASLA is more about law and order. There's really no productivity or anything. Everything is just about law and order. We need to correct that. There's so much to be corrected.
Most of these guys working as secretary generals of councils and many workers at the councils.
Yes.
They are trained from NASLA.
They have trained in NASLA, but just law.
Sure.
I know what I'm talking about.
I'm sure.
Yes, go and check. Go and look at their curriculum.
Now you say they should all be trained at the level of management.
Yes.
Are you very comfortable with the students who graduate from our management departments across Cameroon? Are they better trained than these guys from NASLA and?
We can continue to say that we can do even better. You get what I'm saying? I mean, of course, people have been throwing a lot of rotten eggs at me, but I keep saying that our education in Cameroon, we need to revamp it and make sure that we come up to speed. I mean, it's something we are going to do across the board. You understand? Until we do that, we are just a nation that is going from left to right, and we are messing up big time.
Yeah, on this point of we're still talking about democracy and then the effectiveness of institutions.
Yes, I think that we have to look at this thing objectively, because President Paul Biya took over a country that was handed over to him by somebody who took over from the colonialists. So President Ahijo managed a colonial structure. That is the same structure he passed on to President Paul Biya. And we can see President Paul Biya's efforts to modify that structure, because what he received from President Ahijo is not the same thing that is in place. He has tried to introduce parliamentary democracy, because I have to give him the credit. He took over a presidentialist system, but he tried to introduce parliamentary democracy inside that system, making it possible for the party that wins elections to present a prime minister. That one we have in our system. That does not exist in other presidentialist systems. Now, it is true that we have institutions that don't have that have conflicting powers. When you take the police and the gendarmerie, they do the same thing. You take the DO and the mayor, they do the same thing. You take the president of the regional president and the governor, they do the same thing. You come and take the Supreme Court, which is supposed to be the highest court of the land. You are told that this is not the highest court. The highest court is the Constitutional Council, which is not a judicial court. It does not adjudicate on any matter. It only handles electoral disputes and matters pertaining to interpretation of laws, constitutionality of laws. So they've taken the French system, French judicial system, which has as highest court Constitutional Council, and the English judicial system, which has as highest court Supreme Court, and put the two together, creating one very good lock bundle of confusion. It's a bundle of confusion, because how do you consider somebody the highest court in the land when the person does not try any case? They are there eating monies only. Just imagine, what is the work they are doing from day one? They are there for electoral matters. How often are elections organized? 4 years, 5 years. So this court comes alive once every 4 or 5 years. In between that period, salaries are paid, houses are constructed. The president of Constitutional Council's house costs 2 billion francs. Look at how much money is being spent. A lot of wasted resources. So I think that He has tried. He has noticed that what he took over, took over from his predecessor, was not that good, and he has made effort to change. But there is a limit to what change he can bring. Now, there is also this problem of the organs of the state. A normal state should have 3 organs: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative. In Cameroon, our own state has but 2 organs: the legislative and the executive. The judiciary has been put inside the pocket of, under the boots of the executive, and it is now being called the judicial authority. That is not very good. Something has to be done to give this organ its rightful place under the sun. You see, so Dr. Nick said something very interesting about the usefulness of the Senate. You cannot have a budget-consuming institution like the Senate that has nothing to do. I say it has nothing to do because unlike the Nigerian Senate that approves of, that probes candidates for ministerial appointment, our own Senate is there only to give an opinion on bills voted by the parliament. That is too bad. These guys are paid all these big monies for an opinion on bills voted by the parliament. And the parliament has no duty to take into cognizance the opinion or not. So it is as good as useless. So that is some institution that ought to be replaced. Then when you look at it well, the conception of the Senate, we are told that the Senate is a place to represent the most influential people in our society. But when I look at our society, who are the most influential people? It is not the people who are in the Senate. In our own society, we have a traditional society, and the most respectable people in our society are our traditional chiefs, traditional rulers. We have first class, second class, third class. Those are the most respected. And you see, you can look at this thing from another angle. If you take a senator and complain to him, look, this man is suffering injustice, can he help you? But if you go to your chief and say, I am suffering from this injustice, you think he will sit quiet? Your chief is more likely to take action to protect you than the senator. So I would have preferred that Senate be replaced by a House of Chiefs. And that would make more sense. And that House of Chiefs be given powers to probe, to investigate. You cannot just carry somebody and appoint a minister then tomorrow tell you that this was an ex-convict. If we had that practice of probing into the past of people, you will not have those things coming up. Somebody has embezzled money somewhere, they carry him and make him a minister, then they start coming with the details on the table. Oh, this man did this way. Where were you when they were appointing him? You see, so I think that the president has tried his own. He noticed, he took cognizance of the fact that what he received was not very, very good, was not to his taste, and he tried to modify it. But he has tried. You see, it's a colonial institution. You can really not make it workable in our own context. So that is why Reform Party is coming up with an alternative. Because you always ask, do you have an alternative? Yes, Reform Party has an alternative structure for the state. So we are coming up with an alternative to replace that one which your president has not been able to fix. So Mr. Leo, you see, we'll give him the credit that he has brought democracy. We'll give him the credit that he has tried to modify what he received with varying degree of success. And the credit too that he has been very tenacious in his effort to modify. He even has a ministry of administrative reforms. See, so you can see from that he is actually somebody who wants the things to work. But the duplications, you take one thing, many people are doing it, complicates the entire system. So you have to simplify everything, because in this type of situation where we are, it is not easy to take your telephone and call this gendarmerie emergency number or police emergency number, and then you have any person coming. We have tried on certain platforms. You call them, the thing will ring, nobody answers. You see? Because they are more interested in working inside their offices and getting some juicy files, going to the road to stop people and take money, than actually going down to the field to cater to look after your own protection. Yeah, protection of life and property.
Okay. Let's look at fight against corruption. from the very first speech, I'm sure you took note of the word rigor.
The rigor modernization.
Rigor in management, implementation, follow-up, and to ensure. But I'm sure the president also gave confidence to persons who may have mismanaged the resources of the nation. But we've seen him also fight corruption. There was there was antelope.
Yes,
in the days of Prime Minister Enoni. There was antelope before Epevier. What is not working? Is it the institutions that are supposed to curb corruption that are not doing the job, or it is the collaborators that are using the party card to siphon? Because you cannot see a chief fighting against something and every day you go stealing. Is it the militants, the collaborators that are not also listening to the President of the Republic, or those who have been placed to fight corruption? There is ALIF, there is CONAC, and in the respective ministries, there is a unit in charge of fighting corruption. What is the problem?
The problem is very simple.
Or is it also the judiciary that is failing to seize the opportunity to carry out some investigations?
No, the problem is that first, Mr. Kum, the judiciary is supposed to have done that, but you understand the judiciary is under the armpit of the executive. If you looked at what Minister Laurent Isso, his outing recently on Jeune Afrique, where he said they should not live on the issue of or high instruction, that they should work according to their profession, that particular article was not for nothing. It was for the simple reason that, you know, judiciary has always been a case that you have a case and someone somewhere is calling you and telling you how the case should hold. And sometimes you find somebody tells you his hands are tied. Like in the issue of one of the elections where they were reading it, I said, my hands are tied. Now, the judiciary generally has that problem, and they might not be able to voice that because judiciary is a kind of court that does not really talk as per se. We might be ones to blow out the whistle and all the like, but they are always at one corner because first, their real functions to operate independently has been usurped, thereby breaking the separation of power, which is supposed to be an integral part of a government. As that is the case, when you hear head of state being the head of the judiciary, whereas the judiciary was supposed to be head on its own, which was supposed to carry out its own issues, it disturbs that aspect of corruption we're talking about. Now, you will hear that, as I said, all the ministries have anti-corruption units. I say all. All the ministries have anti-corruption units. Ask yourself, are they even working? Before the CONAC itself is a call for concern. So what is the problem? The problem is for the simple fact that we have stronger men than stronger institutions. I've said several times, even CONAC has not been given the leeway to work the way it's supposed to work. Because when you identify issues of corruption and you only send them to the presidency and it's left now for the presidency to order the judiciary to act on those things, there's a problem. But if you had the latitude, you catch people for corruption and you bring them before the judicial and you hand them to the judiciary, you follow up to see that they are they are followed up judicial wise and punishment meted accordingly, people would not have been involved in that. Why do we have laxity in corruption that people don't think that it should be the president who should be held accountable? It's the president who should be held accountable. Because I've said, take for example, one of the issues that sent most of our militants September 2022 was the issue of corruption as we're advocating on our peaceful protest. And where is the issue coming from? Areas that know that corruption is a crime are instead the one propagating the corruption. Now, I said sometimes, imagine Dr. Nick is here and is driving to Biya, and around Miselele, his vehicle is intercepted. And there are even phone recordings of a policeman saying, no, if you don't send something to the papa. And it's recorded, and to show that they are asking him money when his documents are in order, even if one has expired, someone's asking money, it's still another crime. Because it's supposed to empower your car for you to go and pay the document and bring the receipt to pick up your car. But then if you get some of these things, assuming that you take it to the judiciary, and those gendarmes are picked up that very day, and the next day they are put tried in Yaoundé, under the watchful eyes of state media and private media organs, and before 1 o'clock, you get their sanction meted. People will no longer be at ease to take corruption at the level of transport sector and the police. These are what I call examples. And just like for the case of bidding files for contracts, that your file is well up to date, and you come and they're asking you 10%. You work out the proof of the 10% and take it before the competent authorities. And the contracting authority himself goes in for, I said on the spot, the next 24 hours judgment, no delay. Bam, 5 years imprisonment with a fine of this. People will begin to sit up. If you want to think that we can fight corruption, Mr. Liu, who is a canker worm in these 42 years, it means that you need a proactive president who is always on the field. I told people several times, if you sit Mr. Liu, and one morning President Biya is in front of the GO's office in Womb, 8 o'clock he's there. The GO is in his house. He only comes to meet the president sitting there and he's making the helicopter has left him already there. Even if he goes back to Yaoundé and does not polish that GO, there is every indication that the GO choir will be on the alert. The one in Biya will be on the alert. The one in Big will be on the alert that this one that the president visits anywhere to find out how it's functional. But when you have to announce you are coming, now people go ahead, arrange things before you come. I told people sometimes, the reason why Pam Bargangele cried this road, it was because the normal escort that usually clears the road for official of that nature to pass did not accompany him for some reasons, so to say. I mean, the normal escort that clears the road ahead of time was not in his own entourage per se, which means was moving normally. Different from the ministerial convoy, where they will go several meters away, clear the road while you are coming from behind. This absent, I think God made him like that, for him not even to indulge into that. So he saw the things for himself. And that's why at the end of this, you see now the road has been graded around Carrefour Music there. Though it's a rough walk. But I'm asking this. If you get a road that is constructed, within 1 year, the road is getting bad, it means corruption has taken place. The next question is, who were those who validated that road as being okay until it's received officially? It means the engineers who did that were corrupt because they have what it takes with instruments to determine the quality of the road when the contract is finished, to know whether they can officially receive that contract or not. We have these issues here at the public contract. The problems are too many. I said buildings are cracking up. Roads that are maintained today or built, constructed today, the next few months, you already have potholes there because they don't respect the specification of the contract. And corruption still continues day in, day out. How will you explain that to get into the road safety department of the gendarmerie, what you call routier and police, what you chip in is different from what you chip when you're going for the normal police or normal gendarme? These are the corruption cases we're talking about. Or how do you explain that in a public exam, people from a particular village will line the list? When we're talking about regional balance, you need 50 places, 40 of them are coming from one particular area, and it does not ring a bell. How do they get there? Or somebody is telling you, bring this first before you are accorded, before you get to this. So in the whole aspect of it, the 42 years has been characterized by corruption. We spoke about the issue of a PV, antelope, and other like. I call that smooth screens. You have to hear very well. Those are smooth screen mechanisms for fighting corruption. Because in a proactive system of fighting corruption, most of those things will be recovered. I have told people several times, when you go to South Africa, you look at the anti-corruption mechanism. Each time money is recovered, which was not initially in the budget of the state, that money is plowed back into an emergency department within the state, which was not envisaged for. Which means if there was a road that was somewhere I was not envisaged for that year, that money that's recovered from an embezzled minister is automatically directed to that aspect. If it's a health center was lagging and was not in that year's programming, once they record the embezzled budget, is directed there and indicated recovered from corruption. So these are examples that work when talking about corruption. Now all these persons have been in prison. The next question we ask is, how much has been recovered? The state 42 years has never told us that this particular person, apart from mines, water and energy, of course that one came out that some monies were given back. Yes. And the money that was given back at that time, when it was given back, who has told us what has happened with that money? You just put in the treasury like that? No. There is supposed to be a monetary mechanism that monies recover are still plowed back into the state mechanism to develop one part of the economy or the other. So whilst all of these things are absent, it explains why I said that corruption that we keep saying is because the institutions to fight the corruptions have not been empowered enough. Two, those put in those institutions are not up to the task in terms of morals to beef up that particular fight. You cannot appoint myself a minister when I am a prisoner or my records are not clean, or probably I've been involved in one crime or the other, and you appoint me Director General. Something is wrong with that.
Okay.
What do you expect?
Something is wrong with that. I want us to look at unity, national integration, according to...
I would like to say something on that on what he was talking about.
Can I say,
because
I've not been talking.
no, because it's about to change the topic.
It's been
To change the question. So, okay.
I have not even said anything about corruption.
Okay, just
I've been
coming,
sitting and
no,
listening to you.
just coming quickly so that he takes. Yeah.
Right.
Go on.
Oh, okay, thank you. You see, corruption is some ill that it's a multifaceted ill. Like my good friend was saying here, we see many ministers embezzling. You see people embezzling contracts. This is a very simple thing because the CPDM government has no solution to that. Reform Party has a solution to cure that. You cannot carry 300 billion and entrust one man to handle. You cannot. I mean, even if it's Jesus Christ, he will want to lick his fingers. So, you see, that is the reason why we say public finances have to be firmly controlled. We have to have a central bank. That should be the state's bank, the bank's bank, the regulator of the economy, and the executor of the national budget. So if a ministry is given a budget of 300 billion, that money should not be in the ministry's hands or in the ministry's account, it should be in the central bank. The central bank should see to it, should follow up the use of that money. That way you don't have any minister siphoning funds.
Yeah, but what?
Then
if,
let us go now to
what if at the level of the bank you don't have people of integrity?
No, sir.
The same negotiations
no,
are going to take. Yeah.
No, sir. Let me
go on.
If you want, we can have a program that I'll show you how we have programmed the whole thing.
Okay.
Now let's look at the anti-corruption units that you identified. You have the CONAC, you have the state audit bench, then you have the state control. Now, do you have the special criminal court? I will not buy the idea that these institutions are not they are not competent enough. They are very good. The problem is that if you ask CONAC to go investigate and you don't give them the power to prosecute, how effective do you want them to be? Because they will investigate, they see the offense, they see the culprit, but they cannot prosecute. All they have to do is carry their report and put on the president's desk for the president to give the go-ahead. So you are tying the hands of the organs that were supposed to prosecute. You have CONAC, you have this, the financial one, ANIF and all that. You see, you are supposed to empower these anti-corruption units to prosecute, just as you empower the forestry to prosecute alongside the prosecution. You see, if you do that, then the unit will be very powerful and effective. Now, if you go to the audit bench, we have seen cases where the audit bench comes out with a report that, look, we find that there is embezzlement here. Nothing is done because they don't have the powers to order prosecution. So it is a matter of giving them power to prosecute.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. Just give me a few minutes. Let me try to explain this issue of corruption in the nation of Cameroon and beyond. Corruption is a character problem. It's an issue of, it has to do with attitude. And when people are not brought up properly in the homes, then don't be surprised that even when they become ministers, there will be thieves. So if you are going to fight corruption or talk about corruption, we must see what is happening in the homes, what is happening in the primary schools, the secondary schools. How are these children brought up before they even become adults? What are the indicators of bad behavior in our community? That's where you should start checking corruption. For instance, I'm sure many of us here have gone through red lights. When you come to the red light and you don't respect the green or the red or whatever, and you rush through the red light the way motorcycles are doing, the way some drivers are doing, that is, you have a corrupted mind. As long as you don't follow instructions that are laid down or rules, you are bound to hurt the community. You're bound to do something that is not right. So if you are a parent and you pay the teacher to falsify the marks for your child in primary school, and the child knows that that's what mommy did so that I could go to from class 6 to 7, and then mommy had to pay some money, that's corruption already. You are sowing corruption in the child's mind. If you go to the school and the issue is about homework, handwork, it's called handwork. Bring the handwork to school, and instead of letting the child actually do the broom, If the child buys the broom and brings, that's corruption. If the child gives you 100 francs cash instead of bringing you a broom that or a bamboo chair or something that they made themselves, that is corruption. So when we are talking corruption in this nation, we are only looking at the ministers who are stealing billions and so on, which is terrible anyway. But if you think that you're only going to catch corruption by referring to those big thieves, you got it wrong. Corruption is something, you know, is permissive and is going through the whole community. And where my heart bleeds is because we would have thought that corruption was something that has to do with civil servants, the way they behave with the state and so on. But look at our churches now, even the big ones as well as the small ones. They're so corrupt and so dirty in what they do. So when the churches themselves become so corrupt, they cannot respect their own rules and regulations as far as elections are concerned, and they are buying votes and so on. When the church is corrupt, the nation is finished.
Okay, you are looking at it beyond the president of the republic.
Yes, we're a corrupt nation.
Okay,
throwing dirt everywhere. All that. So it's a mindset.
It's a mindset. But I start about education with you. Almost everybody is going to talk about it. Would you say he's done so much in this regard? We know that we had just take the case of Menchum, where I come from. We had the GHS womb, where people come from, even from Fundong and everywhere, to study in GHS womb. But today we have the secondary schools dotted in almost every village. Yeah. I know you guys went to the University of Yaoundé. Yeah, almost everybody. Yes, yeah. But today almost every region.
Oh, it was just Yaoundé. Yaoundé. It was just because there wasn't two.
we have.
Yeah, that's right. If you are looking at it that way, then you get it all completely wrong.
Okay.
Let's say that it's true that when he took over power, you know, at the time, I think the population might have been, you help me if you can, might have been 17 or 18 million or thereabouts. But today we are 30 million, okay? So there's been this demographic growth. And if you're having problems with the roads, with the tiny streets and so on, was because in those days, there were very few cars and the roads looked like boulevards. But today, because the population is increased, motorcycles and everybody, it looks like we are all suffering. So technically, it was important for those schools, universities and so on to be increasing, you know, to accommodate the growth of the youth. But besides the number of schools and number of benches and classrooms, what about the quality of the education? So you have grown in numbers, you have grown in structure. What about the quality? And even when we say you have grown in structures, I still have a problem with some schools in the north. I mean, the schools are not as good as I would have loved to see them. But I'm saying that there's so much money in this country that if we really were using the money properly, the children would not be suffering like I see them suffering in the north. But that said, that education, yes, if you can count so many universities, 11 state universities and 500 private higher institutes and even more. But the question is, if we are having so many, why are we unable to solve our problems? We are having so many schools of agriculture and training many agricultural engineers, then why are we importing rice? Why are we importing fish? Why are we importing wheat? Until someone answers that question, I will not have peace. Why do we import toothpicks when we are training engineers? So there must be something wrong somewhere that needs to be corrected.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, before I give you the microphone, don't forget the president actually noticed. The president actually noticed that there is a problem with our education, and he noticed this in about 2001. Okay, because there was just the state universities. Then around 2000, 2002, it occurred to them that they should create the private higher institutes like the St. Louis and the Cientos and the one to put a law to regulate that. And then those schools have grown. Then somewhere along the line, they realized that in as much as these private institutes are training, something is still missing. And now it's come up with a new law again, which just, I think it's this June 2023, to redo that higher education again. And you've heard of import substitution. And for instance, all universities, private or state universities, are supposed to create industries and factories. We are supposed to be catching up with the rest of the world, not this thing of just going and reciting, and that reciting is over.
Reciting is over?
Yeah.
In your domain, are you very satisfied with those who train, who graduate from the law schools? compared to what?
Before we come to the law schools, I think we have to be very honest to ourselves. Late President Ahijo took over a country that was in fetters, colonial fetters with the French government that forced them to sign this their colonialism pact. So our education that we have been enjoying since independence was controlled by France. We should be very honest to ourselves. So we don't like that, and I think we have to give Mr. Biya the credit for not prolonging these accords, for refusing to prolong them, and now, as Dr. Nick says, he has set upon himself the task of giving this country some befitting education. So we can see that since Cameroon no longer goes to France on matters of educational policy, our own people are deciding. You can now see that there is a change. From one state university, we now have 11. We now have private universities, and like he rightly says, we have specialized schools, and objectives have been given to schools.
Right. Are we very comfortable with the output of these schools that we now control? We have polytechnics that produce engineers. We have the doctors, we have the teachers, but we should judge the potency of these schools.
Yes, sir.
By the output.
Mr. Kum, we did not have anything. Okay. Everything was being dictated by France. Now our people are
where
deciding.
Were you trained?
So I was trained in University of Yaoundé.
So were you not
I
good?
did English private law, and I did judicial prefect.
Were you not good? Where were you trained, Dr. Nick? You went to Cuse in Cameroon.
No. You know, we are talking to our listeners out there, and we ought to be very careful, because when these colonial fellows, when they came, you know, they gave you something that they called education, and they will let you train a few doctors there, a few teachers there, a few lawyers there. But remember, watch my lips, they kept you away from technology. They intentionally kept you away from technology. So we could be doing very well in our philosophy and so on. They will not bother. They would even give you a scholarship to go and do your PhDs in France or London. They will not bother, as long as you are doing PhDs in something that does not allow you to change your national resources. So that is it.
So you both were trained in Cameroon?
I was trained in Yaoundé.
And Dr. Nick?
Yeah, I was trained in Yaoundé.
Okay.
So I'm saying that we should give the president some credit, because he has moved away from that colonial framework that was hampering our educational system. And it is incumbent now on us to give this country a befitting educational system.
Correct.
So I will not blame CPDM for that one.
Correct.
He has done a nice job by pulling us out of those colonial accords and giving us the opportunity now to put on the table something befitting for our people. You asked the question about my own section, my own sector of endeavor. Well, I'm a lawyer. Are we very, very fine? This is one of the areas where no interference was recorded, because the French, we know the French, they did not train any magistrate at first. They just came, they took court registrars, they sent a few magistrates, called a few people whom they use as court registrars. Later on, those registrars were transformed into magistrates, and later on now they constructed the INAM, where they train. INAM just following the footsteps of Senat in France, see, taking after their own institution too. There is a problem here, because we have two judicial systems, the common law and the civil. At common law, you don't train magistrates in a school. You don't. You pick seasoned lawyers and appoint them judges, magistrates and judges. So you have this conflict where you take common law and you want to train common law magistrates in a school. It looks like you are francophonizing. Francophonizing the common law. So we should allow things be as they are supposed to be. Let the common law magistrates be trained, be picked, be chosen from the practicing lawyers. It has always been like that the world over. it is also a plus, because when you look at Enam, everybody is saying close this thing up. Yes, the Francophone magistrates should also be trained in the same manner. Get experienced lawyers to become magistrates, because a lawyer who has worked for about 10 years knows the nooks and cronies of the profession and can make a very good magistrate. So recruit the magistrates from the bar. That will be good. Today we have a bar that is that has 4,000 lawyers and 2,000, I think 2,900 people lawyers. So very soon you'll be around 7,000. That is enough to fit the magistracy. So I think the only thing that we regret is that, as I said earlier on, judiciary is not an organ in this country. It is not. There is no judicial independence. There's no independence of the judiciary. The magistrates and the lawyers, they are all under the Ministry of Justice, which is itself part of the government. So that's a big hindrance.
Leo, can I just say something, just to continue from where our brother left? Well, I'm going back, senior barrister here, he mentioned one of those things that President Paul Biya has done, and he mentioned one of 4 things. I want to come back to it so that, the whole nation should know exactly some of these strong and good things that President Paul Biya has done for this nation. And this is it. I was saying, you remember on WhatsApp, I was saying that, in as much as there's CPDM here and there's opposition over here, there are some core things that President Paul Biya has done. And even whether MRC comes to power tomorrow or you come to power tomorrow, don't change those things. Don't change it because you want to come at Biya. If you do that, you'll be killing the nation. What are those things that the president has done which are for common good and for the nation? Number 1, he has tried to deliver us from the claws of colonialism. And amongst the 14 Francophone states, I think Cameroon is the only one that has not renewed those colonial ties. And now these people of IS, have joined because they took it by the gun or something like that. Now, that's the first one. The second one, there are foreign military bases, American, French, Chinese, and I don't know which one else, spread over many many countries in Africa. But Cameroon does not have any of those bases, and we have to actually thank President Paul Biya for that. And sometimes you take these military bases in thinking they will help you. No, they destabilize your nation. They put you under duress, and you can never be yourself. You think you are not colonized, but when you have someone else's army in your nation, there's very little you can do. You are a prisoner in your own. They steal your minerals. Go see what is happening in Congo. And you saw what was happening in Niger because they had the army there. Now, the third thing is, I keep saying it, and I wasn't aware of this. The one way in which President Paul Biya works, and you all agree with me, is that he is not the kind of a boxterious person that you see up front. He actually leads from the back, and sometimes he does some work in a very gentle manner in the background, and you need to be a little bit smart upstairs to pick it. And when President Macron visited, there was this lady that you remember, that young lady journalist, 26 years old, who was asking Biya in a very arrogant manner, "Oh, the French, we used to have business with you, and we had 40% of the business share in the country, and as it stands today, we have only 10%. You, Mr. Biya, what are you going to do about this?" And Mr. Biya pretended he didn't understand the question, and he got from there. I mean, he's a great politician, and he never answered that question. That was an insult, and she was telling us exactly how President Paul Biya has been bringing the power back to us. So what exactly was President Paul Biya doing? He is taking the opportunities and laying them out there for Cameroonians. But this is where I'm calling for Cameroonians to wake up and occupy that space, because vacuums are not tolerated. So we need, and this is why when he was talking of emergence in 2035, we never understood. Now he's talking of import substitution. Get up and create the industries. Train your children to have this thing and take up that economic space. Because today we have what we call political independence, but the real independence is economic independence. And if you don't train your own youth to be able to occupy that economic space, the Chinese and others will come and occupy it. So it's something that MRC or everybody should be aware of.
And something else. When you talk of political independence, our ministers used to be
appointed from France. Yeah, let me just finish this one before we get there. And then
when was that?
And then, oh yeah,
When was that?
No, anyway, whether you know it or not, but the names will be taken and sent to France to validate before they were appointed. Let's not waste their TV time. Now, the fourth thing is our minerals. Cameroon is one of those nations where the minerals are intact. Though you have some Chinese digging left, forward, center, but the minerals in Cameroon are really intact. And I think we should train our youths and get our systems to work well. This bad governance should be corrected. And from 2025, we would get the minerals, we would transform ourselves. For instance, if we take the lithium, we make the lithium batteries, use them in our own electric cars, and we don't sell raw lithium. We would do all those industries here. So I just wanted to mention this thing so that we give credit where it's due. Thank you.
Okay, Fah Elvis Tayong,
the only thing that
you've been listening for so long, yeah.
No, yes, I'm sorry. There is also the issue of the law school, which is very important. You see, because in legal practice, we need a law school, and unfortunately, the bar has been looking up to the minister to create a law school within one of the universities. And we keep telling them, you are a profession. You cannot ask academics to create a law school for you, a professional school for you. Create your school. They don't want to hear. So anyway, I will take this opportunity to say that we have in gestation an international law school that will start seeing the day before 6 months run out.
Okay, the kangaroo man, the president is still in power, and his mandate is his current mandate ends next year after the presidential elections. What do you expect to see the president do so that he catch up with some of the things you are disappointed with?
Well, I think there are a number of things that I would like the president to do, though it's difficult for him to do now since he's running out of time. But I think that while I'll be attempting to answer that, I will just come in with what the two learned persons on the planet on the platform here, the senior barrister and Dr. Nick, kudos, he has done this, he's done this, he's done that. Listen. Cameroonians, listen. The time to be deceiving people is over. You must listen very well. The time for them to play hanky-panky games on people is over. If President Paul Biya, they were appointing minister in France, now they are no longer appointed in France. Now, how many years? Do you know the tons of minerals that are in the black market in Cameroon? Dr. Nick, I'm a journalist. I'm still coming.
That's black market.
Do you know the harm the black market is doing in Cameroon?
That's why
I don't know. Actually, I'm coming. Because when you see there and blow hot, nice grammar, you know. Between the black market and the official market, which one is dangerous to a nation? A black market is dangerous to a nation. What disturbs the CPDM from putting in place industries that will extract this mineral I talk about and put them to semi-finished product? I'm not talking about finished product. I mean semi-finished products. When people are sleeping, you are sleeping. To come and blame grammar how President Paul Biya has done this. Let me come back again on this issue. Just like what Senior Barrister said here, I was a little bit disappointed because when you read sociology and anthropology, university lecturers are listening to me. It tells you that when a population of a given community is growing, there are some amenities that accompany them that come by themselves, whether you like it or not. What does it mean? If you had 1,000 people, and in 5 years that you have 10,000, those 10,000 people cannot still accommodate in one primary school. It means other primary schools will open. The more the people are moving and relocating to another area, it means that if you have one university, you will no longer contain that university, it will open. It is not because you are too good that you are opening universities up, it is because the exigencies in terms of population is expecting you to do that, because you cannot accommodate 2 million university students in Yaoundé. These are things you are not telling the Cameroonians. You pass behind your different grammar. Another point again I'm talking about is this. If we're talking about the issue of expansion, for example, people should understand these things clean and clear. What I'm saying is that the proliferation of schools we have, even extending to private, is not because of the just largesse of the head of state. Sociological and anthropological components warrant that to be put in place. What we should be asking is, do we have the quality that these numerous schools have that will have a plowback into our economy? That is what is important. For example, to get 5 quality universities in a state and to have 50 less quality universities in a state, those 5 quality universities will produce you results that 50 universities with less quality will produce. What am I saying? Dr. Nick is an academician. Ask yourself, these academics we have in the rating of universities, where do they fall in the rating of world universities? Dr. Nick understands what I'm talking about. That every year there's what they call rating of world universities in terms of their quality, which are accompanied by their research and other innovations in those institutions. Where do our schools that we have fall? Why do we have, you have said about adjusting education system, which is good, moving towards from the philosophies and that to now technological and all the like. In the technological we're talking about, what is the quality of technological we're talking about? How many of them have been promoted by the state? How do you explain to me that you have a polytechnic and students who come from it are not given latitude to be main engineers of state projects, but it's given to foreign companies, and these students from these polytechnics only come in as laborers? How do you explain that? It means even to valorize your own in your own system, you find it difficult, and you give an applause to that. No, we should have to call a spade a spade. That's why I said that the quality of what we have and the acknowledgement of what we have matters a lot. If you have polytechnics left to right, there's you have been following up a small child developing an aeroplane, developing this and that. Where have those children ended? One of them has been called up. He's not here in Cameroon now, and that child went to. I was sorry to tell you that the fall of Gunoko started by sponsoring one here in Douala, and when that one who developed the helicopter came, he told me I was following him up. He's in Bonaberry. We get some small tips to keep him up because my traditional ruler is in Germany. Now that one said they called him to Yaoundé. He went there. They gave him. He stayed in the hotel for 1 week. They only called him. Were asking questions. After asking questions, I don't know what transpired. That chapter died a natural death. If you have these polytechnics and the universities that are going to technology, and this kind of talents are not valorized or taken by the state to be made good use of, do you say the state is doing a good job or is doing a hanky-panky game? This is where the whole issue comes in. Cameroonians should not be deceived with this grammar we blow here, because we need to call a spade a spade. We have people who have developed incubators. 2 of them, I was following them up in Biya. I told them no. They went to Ministry of Youth Affairs, which is part of this department. One even went to Rwanda and came back. And at the end of it, the follow-up is not as per day, and it got discouraged. I said, okay, we'll factor another way out of it. After what things I have taken part as a normal citizen who does not even have the money but try to put them in a connection to that. So I'm saying that these are not things I'm supposed to do. These are things that the state, discovering talented students, whether they are students in official schools or not, to pick them up and put them to show that the education is going towards technological incline. But we don't have that. So the will of the state to put us into practice is not there, but they still live on theory, turning those universities of technology into theories. Correct. As per se now. Yeah. The quality is doubtful as I speak now.
Correct.
Okay. On 2025.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. Elvis was you were talking. You said some very good things and some half truths. So I just want to see how we can correct that. Now, you have to, if you say you are an engineer. Oh, by the way, I think I learned this from late Professor Anamangu. He was teaching us, and he was trying to make us understand how important it is for students to stay back in hospital and look after the patients and clerk them and make sure that you attend to their needs, rather than running to the class to take notes, because the notes you could always catch up on them. And he was saying that, when it comes to finding out who is a good doctor, it is not the certificates that you brandish. You could be a professor, but it is that mama from the village who has never been to university who will rate you as a good doctor or a poor doctor based on your output. So we are talking about output. What makes an engineer is your result. It's not the certificate or the title that you have. So in Cameroon, we are filled with titles, but when you ask for a result, there is no result. That's why you have an engineer who has done agriculture, but there's no bag of rice he can show you. So that is the biggest problem in Cameroon, that we talk titles, but when it comes to product, there is nothing. That said, I would like to also make a statement about the training of medical doctors and engineers out of Cameroon in some other areas like in the US. So when you go to QS or any of our medical schools here, you are put through the system, and then you are trained as a medical doctor. So you come out with a tunnel vision, visit Borne, as they would say, and that's why when you would graduate afterwards, they would give you a hospital to manage, and you cannot manage it because you didn't learn management as such. So In America now, when you go to a medical school, while you are studying, the medicine as your major, you take the MBA, the management, as a minor, or you take public health as a minor. It's very important. If you are studying engineering, you take an MBA or something kind of management. Management runs across, and so these are some of the things that we ought to be doing. And when you are complaining about our engineers who have gone through school and they cannot do our roads, is because yes, they went to school and they studied engineering, but they are the soft skills, for instance, entrepreneurship, that they don't know. A lot of our people in the civil service on the streets with all certificates and so on, ask them question on entrepreneurship, they can't do it. That's why they can't create anything, because they lack that skill. It's a different skill that we ought to learn. It's not just because you went to Polytechnic and came out as an engineer. You have to know how to put a team in place, source money and create a company that works. So we need to correct that.
Okay, we need to correct that. Let's talk about living together. The President of the Republic has worked so hard to bring unity, national integration, to see Cameroon to function as a family. But we see cracks are developing every day, where people identify themselves more with their regions and tribes. Who failed in doing what, and how do we bridge those gaps?
Yeah, I was listening to, I think it's Eric Chinje, the other, in one of his things, where he was making a diagnosis of what is going on, and he said that President Paul Biya, in one of his outings, when he was responding to a request from the World Bank or something like that, said that the biggest problem and challenge he had in this country was that of tribalism, and we all agree with him that the tribalism till today things have even got worse. And so tribalism is a huge problem in our nation, and we have a state, but we don't yet have a nation, and so we are still very fragmented. And there is this commission, you call it bilingualism and whatever, multicultural. It's a big word, but there's really nothing in it, and they're doing nothing. And by the time you are creating that kind of a commission, it means there's a problem you really want to solve, and go ask those guys, they solve nothing. So, and when you step out of it, where's the problem? The problem, number one, and I think it's Fah Elvis who said this, I don't know if he's the one who said it, but he believes in what I'm going to say now. We live together in Cameroon. There's no problem, let's say, here in Douala, there's no problem between tribes. No, we live together. But the problem of Cameroon is that we don't eat together. That's the problem. So when we start eating together, then it will be okay. But this living together is a scam.
When you say it's a scam, I don't know.
We are living together, but not eating together. If you want it to work, we must eat together. What do I mean? If we go to Enam, we should see that all tribes are equally, or tribes and regions are equally represented in Enam. If you go and do a study of the people who are in Enam, it's not evenly distributed. Take a map of Cameroon with the regions and the divisions, and you take the list of the students who have gone there in the last 30 years. Then if you call a name, let's say Fah Elvis, he's from Momo, you go and put one in Momo, just like when we're counting. After you have done that with all schools, with all appointments and so on, you will see that there's a certain pattern which is not even over the nation. So that is it. We have to correct that in 2025, so that people can feel that they are part of the nation. And you know that the Anglophone problem became worse because Anglophones feel that they are beggars in their own nation, and so it's all these disparities that are creating problems. Living together is not something that you can force. Living together is not something that you can decree. Living together is not about the law. It's about love, and that love is about sacrifice. It's about giving. It's about treating other people like you would like to be treated. As long as we don't show that love and empathy and embrace one another as brothers and sisters, and break the collar not evenly, then living together is a scam.
Okay, living together is a scam. Vision 2035.
That's something on what he was talking about, because
let me ask the question now. You want to answer
no,
your question?
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I want you to say something about Vision 2035, which is also the brainchild of President Paul Biya.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
you see, I'm surprised to hear Dr. Nick say President Biya was complaining about tribalism, because under him the government has erected favoritism, tribalism as a rule, as rules of governance. He was talking about Enam. Now look at the administration. Look at the governors. How many of them? There are 10. How many come from one region? Look at the SDOs, the DOs. Then you go now to judiciary. Look at the procureurs generals. Look at Douala. Just touch them. Look at the presence of the Court of Appeal. No. You see, you are complaining about something that you yourself are practicing. You have cemented the floor. You've cemented and concreted the floor. How can you complain about tribalism? How do you want people to live together with you happily when you are eating everything and then they have nothing? You see, that is the real problem. There is, people are disgruntled. You have in certain courts a magistrate grade 2 commanding grade 3 and 4. I am telling you. Yes. Grade 2 commanding 3 and 4. Go to the Janaberi, the same thing. Somebody who is down there commanding his superiors. You don't do that. You create discontent in the population. You see, those are the things which should be scrapped come 2025. Vision 2025. Anyway, I want to thank you very much, because 2025 CPDM will not be there again to put us in trouble. CPDM, we shall push you to the side. You see, 2025.
2035.
Oh, no.
So there's a Vision 2035.
Yes,
the government is working on something.
Yes, Vision 2035. Thank you, sir. They will not be there to reach 2035 because we shall take over from them in 2025. We shall be the ones to carry Cameroon to 2035, and our vision is that Cameroon will not be a place of unequal opportunities, where one region takes everything and every person else sits and watches them while they eat and live in opulence. No, sir, we don't want that type of thing. This is a land, should be a land of equal opportunities for all the children, and that is the reason why we say we are for a Cameroon that will have about 20 states, every person authorized to manage his affairs. Our resources should no longer be put on one table and somebody giving a knife to butcher and give whoever he please what portion he wants. Let everybody manage his own affairs. That is the way every Cameroonian will feel free and happy to be a Cameroonian. Then you carry all the money and give to one person and say, God's representative on earth, this is their own small share. Now lie, it will not go. You will always have discontent. When you think there is a competitive exam, it is people from your own area that have to be that stand up as the most learned. No, sir. Every area in this country has learned people. It is not a reserve of any particular area. We have doctors and engineers everywhere. So let every area be given the opportunity to also put their children in those schools. That is the thing that we think can bring some prosperity in this country, not the rampant tribalism that we are seeing around.
Okay, so many messages. I'll take 3 minutes to read some of them.
Would I have 1 or 2 minutes to go over Vision 2035, because you brushed over it?
Yes.
People don't know.
Yeah. Let me just take 3 minutes after that.
Okay.
Mr. Kum, the program is so enriching today and so educative. Calvin is writing from Banga. Greetings from here. I am Mr. Mbonifo Chienka, a promoter of organic agriculture and running an agri-skills training center on monthly basis at Mile 4 Limbe and into agriculture and livelihood activities. I'm glad following up the program today, especially as it touches agriculture, the backbone of our economy. Thanks very much. Good evening. Greetings to you all. Dr. Nick talks about President Paul Biya's rejection of colonialism, whereas we don't have an independent currency of our own. Is that not colonialism? Fred is writing from Ebolova. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the panelists. I'm Gimo Godlove watching from Kumba. Please, the way they're talking as if there's going to be a constitutional review. If yes, when? before elections or after elections. I don't know what he's talking about. Good evening, politicians. Corruption is a nature in humanity. The set of people that can change the nature of corruption in Cameroon are the people who were born in January, May, June, July. This category of nature does not have corruption in their DNA orientation. Okay. This was a since when the population census was taken and where the results declared to the public, as he is talking about 30 million Cameroonian populations. This is addressed to you, Dr. Nick. Good evening. Please help me ask the proprietor of St. Louis, okay? Where was the census? Okay. My name is Juviette, all the way from Douala. President Paul Biya, 42 years in Cameroon. Okay. Dear Mr. Liu, what do we expect from people who have attained a certain age? Good evening, sir. Special greetings to the kangaroo man. The good, the bad, the ugly. Education in Cameroon needs just the truth. But somebody is reminding the kangaroo man that when the stuff happened, yes, that the minister was there. So
yeah, but it was hidden. So
yeah, but he was there. It's just like today I'm saying that the minister, he was there. He said that others were celebrating. He said no, he's here for this, and that he was sent by the president of the republic. Very briefly, you want to talk about?
Should I answer that question about the population?
You wanted to talk about 2023.
Yeah, 2023.
Very briefly, please.
All right. Now, let me take time off to explain this concept of 2035. When President Paul Biya talks about emergence in 2035, it's not just something that is for Cameroon. Every country would decide when they want to emerge, and emerge they must. Now, what is emergence? You see, we've been living in a kind of a primitive setting where we don't produce our own goods and services. That's the problem. And our economy is primitive. And there are no jobs for youth and whatever. And, like we've been saying before, the education we have does not have technology. So that's why we don't have industries. So when President Paul Biya is talking of emergence in 2035, what exactly is he saying? He's saying that, and this is something we are supposed to have started 10 years ago and should be seeing some results now.
More than 10 years ago.
Yeah, more than 10 years. And as I speak to you, nothing has been done. Nobody has lifted a finger. What exactly is it? He was saying, what is the vision? Let us start doing something and copying other great nations like South Korea, China, Finland, and so on, so that by 2035, we will be in a position to have all our roads built, airports built, housing built, hospitals working very well, industries carried out and run by our own children. That is the key. That when in 2035, what you are supposed to see Cameroon look like Dubai. And what will be interesting is that though it looks like Dubai, that the construction and everything will not be done by the Chinese, will not be done by the French, it would be done by our own children. And so it is in 2035 where we will see that, like we'll say that we have our political independence in 1960 or thereabouts. Then 2035 will be our year of economic independence, where we were able to feed ourselves and do our own things, make our own cell phones and build our own planes ourselves by our children. That's what it is, that you solve your problems yourself. Thank you.
Yes, but when you look at the paper, it's a very big book that explains how we were going to achieve that. A lot of
which is a scam.
Yeah, I read through that.
No.
It didn't make sense.
They said that a lot of investment was going to be put in energy production to be able to contain heavy industry, and I'm sure that is why we have the Memveles, the Lompangas, and the other dams.
Yeah, let me just say something. Let me just say something. Let me just say a quick thing about it. And when I'm saying watch my lips, I read through that document, and I tell you that document is not good enough. If you gave that document to a South Korean or somebody to read, he would throw it in the dustbin. That document was written by civil servants who keep telling you a long story. They tell you something, but they don't tell you the how. It is the how is not, there's no why and there's no how in it. They tell you the what. And so it's a story written by administrators, and that's why nothing has happened. So 2035 is not something that we will stay and fold our hands, then it will happen abracadabra. It's about doing something. So to write what will happen, you must have an entrepreneurial mind and put in place the strategies and processes to get the result. If you don't put it and just write it and sit and go and drink coffee, nothing will happen. And that is the problem. It's about lack of the entrepreneurial skills. It's about lack of an understanding of how industries work. It's about lack of understanding of all these things, teamwork and so on. So that is why that disease has been going on, and it was necessary for the president to correct it by bringing in this new thing that he has called import substitution. Import substitution now lays out strategies, and when you follow those strategies, then we'll get there. Thank you very much.
I'll read the last paragraph of the president's address to the nation on the 6th of November 1982 when he took power. The last paragraph says, I therefore solemnly invite all Cameroonians to reaffirm in practice the attachment to this great work of unity, peace and progress, and to remain resolute there with the legitimate ambition of remaining a great people, a united and hardworking people, a people aspiring to prosperity and justice, a people having faith in their future, a people finally jealous of of being masters of their destiny inside and outside their borders. As far as I am concerned, with the trust and collaboration of everyone, I can assure you that I will work towards it with all the strength of my patriotism and my commitment. Yes, how do we get Cameroonians to work in unity, peace and progress today? You.
Well, the simple way to get Cameroonian work in that domain has to do with readjusting public policy.
Okay.
We can blow all the grammar, say, just like Dr. Nick says. You know,
you are also blowing hot grammar.
No.
Just say how it should be done.
Yes, yeah. I'm coming. What I'm saying is that we could equally say that people should try to. This vision was that people should try to. Everything depends on government's policy. First, as number one. When you have a vibrant, driving government policy, it spurs up the citizens of that country to automatically align with it and move along line. If Paul Kagame keeps Kigali as the cleanest city, it's not because everybody in Kigali was meant mentality-wise to know that he has to keep the place. No, it's because the system, the policy made to know that if you are caught littering, there are surveillance cameras on the streets everywhere. People have paid the price of punishment for violating, and so being aware of the consequence. By so doing, they now inculcate the habit of being clean. No, they cannot eat bananas and throw anyhow. There are dustbins everywhere at key corners of the street. By so doing, they become clean automatically. It is just like, as I'm saying, I say public policy. It's not like you take a dirty somebody here and send him into the streets of Birmingham in London. Automatically, he becomes clean. It's automatic. Because if not, he falls into trouble 2-3 times. Or you take a drunkard, someone used to getting drunk and driving. Once you put him in the streets of Delaware in USA or in Washington, D.C., he knows that each time they suspect you are driving, they stop you and they do alcohol tests. Once they give you a fine and imprisonment on the spot, you start knowing the consequences. By so doing, the system itself, with the government policy put in place, automatically drills you to meet up with the exigencies put in place. What am I saying here? I bring it back here. The issue is not slogans of Vision 2025, whatever the case may be. The issue is if you want to live together. Government policies put in place. Regional balance taken into consideration. Aspects that violate issues of unity, like for example, take for example the guys in Noon who were harassed in the business guys in Noon who were harassed in Balmayo some years back, and you did not see concrete action. I mean, concrete means that those who were supposed to have been at the forefront of that xenophobic act were supposed to have been severely punished, not really, I mean publicly, to deter others from doing that. If they do that in the same region, other regions and other like, that spirit of national unity will take place without you asking a question that if you just go and report somebody to the police or to the competent authorities, that this man asked me, you Babylon, go back to your area, and the investigator see that and they punish you on the spot, those things will disappear naturally. That's why I'm saying that government policy is the only key way. Once you put in place a government policy that promotes national unity and punishes those who are proven to be against the issues of national unity, those who are propagating tribalism and all the like, people will automatically see that it's either you toe the line or you go and create your own country and stay there. And since I cannot create my own Cameroon and stay there, I'll be forced to follow the line or I bear the wrath of that punishment that accompanies. They are not two ways. They are not two ways. That's why a sleeping government cannot give you this result. A redundant government cannot give you that result. A kangaroo government, the highest order. Oh yeah. Anybody who wants to 2035 by slogans, by explanation on air here from morning to night, that man failed on arrival. In fact, he's deceiving his or herself. Those slogans no longer work.
Okay,
those slogans, they have expired.
Those slogans no longer work. We're going to be drawing the curtains on tonight's edition of our Prime Hour. Dr. Ngwanyam, thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure being with you again. And just before I pass over the microphone, to say that if Cameroon is failing in many things and a lot of people who are trained cannot form companies and so on, it's because back in school we are taught to compete with each other from nursery school. We are not taught to work together in teams to solve problems. And when it comes to industries, forming companies and so on, people must work together to create a product. But when in people's minds they are competing with each other, it's very difficult to form these teams, and we are always suspicious of each other, and that should change.
Okay, thank you too for coming, Senior Barrister.
Thank you, Mr. Kum, for inviting us. Thank you, Mr. Kang Boroma, for telling the public that it's only a good public policy that can make Cameroonians work together as a nation. And that can only be possible when you have an entrepreneurial political party like Reform Party that has a good plan of action that, if put in place, is going to turn this country into paradise. Okay. So you know who to vote come to 2025.
Senior Barrister, you are doing campaigns here. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it's my pleasure being present here, and I know several fans and elites who are in the various areas now commemorating the celebration on a failed system, pretending that it is good, should know that we have told them that it has expired. So the only thing to do is that let them prepare their bags. 2025 presidential, they go home with Progressive Party, Progressive CPDM, all home. While it comes to 2026, cancel and municipal, the ruling party again, go home, because Cameroonians are now alert. They shine their eye. No grammar here can deceive Cameroonians any longer. Yeah. This is the people of Gunoko village, and to my Mekuda family people as they are coming to Gunoko village from Mekuda in December. We welcome everybody. Arrangements are on, but then the right things must be done, come rain, come sun.
Thank you to the production team, Eli and Desmond. We want to thank you all for watching. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.